Shalom, friends. Welcome to the Arukah Holistic Podcast, hosted by me, Mayim Vega, your naturopathic herbalist and holistic life coach. And here we explore holistic paths to wellness, growth, and learning for all ages. Our mission at Arukah.com is to empower individuals to become holistic healers, combining naturopathic herbalism, holistic life coaching, and online business and marketing in our Arukah Holistic Healer Certification program. And today we're delving into the world of holistic education with a guest whose approach to motivating and empowering children aligns with our mission to foster growth and resilience in all aspects of life, not to mention that I'm also a homeschool mother of 7 of my own, plus 2 more that are adopted. So I'm delighted to introduce Gail. I'm sorry, is it Gail Hugman?
Hugman.
Okay, I was thinking that, but I had never heard that before. So, okay, Gail Hugman, founder of Lessons Alive and a seasoned educator with over 30 years of experience teaching in and around London. And since 2003, Gail's mission with Lessons Alive has been to inspire children and support parents in raising well-rounded, capable human beings with her unique approach to child motivation and 2 insightful books. The first one is Making the Pennies Drop. And the second one is 100 things to learn before you're 10. I hope that's a lot, 100. I hope I did that with my children. I don't know.
Yeah, I struggled getting to the 100.
Gail offers invaluable wisdom on nurturing children's curiosity, confidence, and character. Hello, Gail, and welcome.
Hello, Mayim. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. So can you tell us more about your background and how you came to do what you do?
Okay. I spent 30 years, as you said, teaching in and around London in inner city schools. So I've a lot of experience of a multicultural society and educating the children of all different levels of society and nationalities and so on. And after 30 years in schools, I did not want to run a school of my own because it seemed the more I went into management, the more paper I saw and the fewer children I saw. And I had a light bulb moment when I realized that in 30 years of teaching, I hadn't seen any great improvement in children's education or engagement. And I was standing in my classroom welcoming the year 6, which is the top year of primary, on the first day of term in September. And for a moment, I flashed back in my mind to my first day of teaching 30 years before. And there had been 2 silent lines of children then, back in the 70s. And now I was looking at these children entering my classroom and pushing and shoving, and I want to sit here and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And the contrast was quite striking. And instead of bringing them to order, I waited until they were quiet. And when they were quiet, I said to them, I'm amazed that you did that. And they're all looking at each other like, who did what? And I said, I'm amazed you did that because this is the first day of your last year as senior pupils in this school. And not one of you said good morning. Not one of you asked if it was okay to come in. Not one of you acknowledged I was here. And where is your self-respect? I am your teacher for the next year. What do you want me to think? I'm just astonished. And of course, it all went very quiet. But the contrast in my mind wasn't that 30 years before that was better and this was worse. It was, what is it that we need to teach children so they do have self-respect, they do want to engage, they do want to feel independent and responsible and take charge of their own learning, which I believe they can do from a very early age. And so I decided to step outside the the route I was on and to try and figure out what children need. And I started to work, first of all, with parents about children's engagement and children's motivation, and telling people, I would stand in a classroom and they would be looking at me as though they were doing me a great service by being there. And I would say to them, why do I feel more concerned for your future than you seem to? And I think we have a view of childhood that has developed for all sorts of reasons, which I won't go into at the moment. But I think we have a view that children should be free and should be allowed to, be happy and do their thing, and that they will learn automatically. But the environment that they're living in is not ideal. There's a lot of conflict in the world. There's a lot of competition in the world. And I don't think we can rely on automatic learning for them to make the right connections and to get the point in the way that they might have done, say, 100 years ago, when life was a lot slower paced. And they spent a lot more time with adults around them. Today's child has access to the internet and a lot of material that may not be very helpful to them at a time when their brain is creating neural pathways. And we see children getting addicted to technology at a very young age. And it's quite frightening because they are not miniature adults. They are potential adults. And when I say they are not miniature adults, I mean the brain isn't fully formed, and it is forming around whatever they do repeatedly. So it's easy to see if a child is on a tablet for the first 10 years of their life, that brain is going to have connections that they need to run that mean they're addicted to that screen. So this is why I decided to work outside the system, and going into people's homes taught me a lot about how I would set half an hour's homework in school, and then going into people's homes, I discovered that my half-hour homework could be a 2-hour battle for mum at home. And I thought there's a whole different dynamic at home that needs to be taken into account. And there are, it's a whole different environment. There are different expectations. And I remember one client saying to me, she was absolutely delighted when her son worked on something for half an hour. And I said, well, you're looking at your little boy and he's done half an hour work. I'm looking at a year 5 child and he can do a lot more than that. And it is how parents are manipulated by these clever little brains because they want to exercise control somewhere. So this is why I started. And very soon it became apparent that I needed to do some form of assessment. And then I discovered really magical things started to happen. One-to-one with the children, I would sit next to a child and think, what does this child need to hear for them to fully engage in education? Because some children shut down, some children switch off, and the levels of stress and significant impact of negativity on life, divorce, illness, the speed of things, refugees, trauma, all of these things affect us. Even moving house can have a traumatic effect on a child. And so I started to look at what had caused them to disengage and then how to re-engage. And I came up with some absolutely mind-blowing, in my view, lessons that I realized I needed to communicate with parents, so that parents can start to teach this stuff for themselves. It won't necessarily be taught in school. It's not on the curriculum. Children need a whole lot more than they're taught in school. I think we all realize that. My life would have been a lot easier if I had met me when I was little and I had had these lessons then. So I try and complement what school is doing and give children the tools, the skills, the knowledge, and the attitude they need to really get hold of it and do an absolutely amazing job. And so far, the children have been very successful, which is very satisfying. So that's where I
That's
am.
great to hear. Yeah, I do believe that educating children is primarily the parents' job. And when they send a child to school, that should only be a supplement to what the parent is responsible for doing and what the parent is really should be minding. I'm sorry to say that, but that is my belief. I'm religious, I'm Jewish, and in the Bible, it says that to the parents, it says, you shall teach them to the children, which are, God's ways, which is basically how to do life, and that's really I believe that that's really what the purpose of school should be, is how to do life, not how to pass a test or how to sit still for 8 hours without getting your teacher mad, or whatever whatever people judge children on these days. But it should be, how to live life successfully, appropriately, with honor to yourself, with respect for authority, as a good citizen, etc. And my parents, I was born in the Philippines, raised in America, and my parents, well, I had a very bad childhood in public school, and I think a lot of third world parents experience this, where they think that the school is supposed to teach them morals and etiquette and all these kind of, in the public school system, it's not really a focus, these things, morals and etiquette and things like that. They just get punished for not having morals and etiquette. They're not really taught how to have them, though. They're only punished. And then when they're taught, they're disciplined, then they go home and the parents are supposed to do something about it. And the parents don't really, a lot of times they don't really do anything about it either. They'll ground them, they'll take something away, maybe they'll spank them, but they still don't teach them, they still don't train them, they still don't model it for them, they still don't even require it of them, oftentimes. And so that was, I talked to my parents about it when I got older, and they're like, yeah, we didn't know, we didn't know. My mom was even a teacher herself. And actually, I remember in the Philippines, I remember being hit with a stick from across the room, not hard,
Wow.
but there was a long stick that could reach all the way across the room. And
Wow.
if I misbehaved, the teacher would get it out and like tap me. And like, oh, okay. Like, it didn't hurt, probably that much. It didn't bruise me or anything, but it certainly got my attention. And so that was number one. And so now, as like a homeschool parent, I homeschool 9 children. 2 of them, my oldest is going to be 21 in November. And I started him in college at age 16. So he has a computer science degree that he finished, I think, at age 19. And he's a freelancer, and, we love him, and we don't have to kick him out. We didn't have to kick him out at age 18 because we taught him how to get along with us. We taught him what is required so that we could tolerate him, not only tolerate him, but he's responsible. He does chores. He speaks responsibly and honorably, respectfully to me and other adults. Our parents, our fellow parents, friends, they think that our children are respectful and good, and they want their children to be around our children so that they can have a good influence on their children, so that they can grow up to be like our children. And one of the things that I always emphasize as a parent is morals and conduct. And I tell my children that these things are more important than being a whiz at math, or being perfect at history tests and science tests and things like that. How do you conduct yourself in this world? How do you reflect your values and your integrity to other people and to society? So that's why I think this topic is very, very important. And I want to know what, I know you have two questions that you ask yourself before you work with a child. And so I'm very curious, what are those two questions?
Okay, question number one, I have actually mentioned already. What does this child need to hear in order for them to be more responsible, or to have the right attitude, or to engage? And the second question, which can I tell a little story to go with it? When I was teaching in school, I invited a local farmer to come in and talk to the children about vegetables, because we were growing vegetables at the back of the school. I was a bit unorthodox even when I was in school. And so the farmer came in, and he was amazing. And he bought this box of vegetables, and he was explaining about vegetables and telling them all sorts of interesting things. And at the end of the day, after he'd left, I said to the children, what did you think? What did you learn? And the girl said to me, oh, Miss, I didn't know that farmers wore earrings. And and they'd all been captivated by the fact that he was very young, he was very trendy, and he had earrings and he had a tattoo. And this blew their mind, because their traditional stereotype typical farmer didn't come that day with the vegetables.
The typical farmer maybe had a straw hat and overalls.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so that taught me another lesson. And the question that I always ask is, what is this child actually learning from what it's now doing? Because when you sit and fight with a child over homework, get your homework done, and you make them sit there, what do they actually learn from that process? Do they learn their homework? I doubt it. What is actually going on? Because when we're born with intelligence, with sensitivity, and with huge potential, every single human being. And we need to refocus and say, let's develop that human being. That's what I think in education, because we don't focus on that human being's development, we focus on that human being's knowledge of the world. Then that's where the frustration comes in, and a lot of children disengage, because human beings are born for development. It's clear that's what they do. And the fact of the 21st century culture, which is an ideal environment for any of us, was here before any of us were here, and is something that children feel persuaded to join, but their instinct is for development. So unless they can understand how it is going to benefit their development, they might not want to do whatever you're asking them to do. So, there's a set of skills which are called executive function skills. And these skills are the ones that everybody needs to be able to be successful in life. And the first one is self-control. I actually now teach children self-control through activities that we do together, and they love it. And I realized that without self-control, you can't learn because you're constantly reacting to things around you. And you have to be able to concentrate to learn. And you have to be able to listen. And I remember seeing a poster in a classroom years ago, which said good listening. And then there were little cartoon figures of sitting with your legs crossed, sitting with your arms crossed, sitting with your finger like that. But that doesn't say what's going on in here. And so good listening is not that behavior. Good listening is something that happens in here. And so I teach children good listening and why they need good listening. And so it's the core skills are to do with personal development. We all need them to be successful in life. So I'm coming at it from, whatever religion, whatever way of life, whatever color of skin, wherever in the world you're born, you are human. So let's start there. What does a human being need? What does it start with? And how can I help it? That's I think I've given you about 5 questions that I asked, but that's where I'm coming from. What does a human being need that's born? Because when I was born, there were 2.25 billion people on the planet. So what I needed is different to what children need now, because there's 8 billion people on the planet. So the whole dynamic is different. And I'm often saying to parents, your childhood is not relevant to your child. Actually, what they need may be very different from what you needed. And we have to look at children as little human beings planted on the planet. What do they need? They need to be resilient. They need to be able to communicate. They need to be able to think and develop their thinking skills. They need to understand themselves and how they work. They need to be able to interpret feelings. And these things are not taught in school. And that's what I've developed and written about in my books, so that parents can start that process, because I haven't got all the answers yet. I'm still working on it. But that's where I come from. What does this little human being need at this moment in time?
I love that. That sounds beautiful. And yes, we're all so individual. Even within my own children that, I birthed myself and that have my DNA, they're all so different. It's so amazing. And then, with the addition of the 2 other children, adopted children that I homeschooled, I didn't actually adopt them. We inherited them from my mother-in-law. But and they're also so different. And then I have to homeschool them, and I also have to I think the hardest thing is not the education. The hardest thing for me is helping them to get along. That's the hardest thing. That's the biggest challenge for me. It's helping them get along, especially without my presence. Like, everyone's well behaved when I'm around. Pretty much the biggest challenge is, how will you act when I'm not around? So I have to give them reasons, for why it's good to get along. I have to reason with them starting at a certain age. It's all about reasoning. It's not even so much about punishment or anything. You just have to help them to understand why everything that I'm trying to teach them, even the discipline and punishments, are good for them. I have to convince them that everything that I do is for their good. And it really is, but I think that's one of the keys, is that teaching them that everything you're trying to do for them really is for their good and how it will benefit them in the future. And if they don't accept the lesson now, they may have to learn the same lesson when they're an adult, and it'll be even harder, and the consequences will be more grave and serious, etc. So anyways, I want to share your 2 books, pull them up on the screen right now, and maybe talk about them.
Well, the first one, 100 Things to Learn.
Okay, this one.
That one. Yes. That one I thought it was a catchy title. I'm actually going to do another edition and change the title because parents, that book is for parents. And
Oh,
I
okay.
and not for children, but I
Uh-huh.
know people sometimes give it to their children.
Mm.
The content is to help parents, like you say. Parents don't always do the work, but to be honest, from my own discussions with parents in their homes now, that nobody knows this stuff that I've discovered. They know it when I say it, they know it because it's obvious,
Makes
but
sense. Yeah.
actually putting it together in a way, like you say, how do I get my children to get on together when I'm not there? And that's got my brain ticking over now. How do you do that? And I thought, well, you would need to understand the brain lesson. You would need to understand, which is something that I developed when a child looked at me because he wasn't doing homework. He was being very difficult. And he said, why should I? I thought, oh no, not that question. Why should I?
Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
And I
if they
said,
don't understand why, they may
yeah,
do it at the moment, but
yeah,
as soon as you're not there, they'll stop doing it. So they have to
yeah,
know why.
yeah. No, they have to buy in. And that's always been my aim. And so when I can actually read, where is it? I wrote about him in here, and I've got little diagrams. I always would sit with a child and draw what I was talking about. And this one, hang on, here we go. A very clever 10-year-old boy just couldn't see the point of homework because all my books have stories as well. He felt it was a pointless exercise. And because of this, he would get it over and done with, but with a certain degree of resentment and never with any real pride. Now, many children feel like this.
Was it
And
easy for
so,
him? Was the
sorry,
homework too
it
easy
was,
for
yes,
him?
a lot of children are bored in school as well. They don't see the purpose. So I looked at him and I said, you do know your brain is meant to work for you and not the other way around. And that actually got his attention because it had never occurred to him that he wasn't his brain.
Hmm.
And when I'd gone through this, you can see I've drawn the diagrams as I drew them. And I said, if I could look down on top of your head right now, and if it was made of glass and I could see it, I would see a brain. I haven't got one here. I have got a couple of spare brains that I showed the children, and I would see a brain. And it's divided into three parts. And at the front is the conscious, which is where you are when you're awake. You don't need to remember this. I always tell them they don't need to remember it, so they remember it. And then at the back, you've got two more sections. One is the semi-conscious, and that's where you are when you're thinking. And on the other side, you've got the big boss, and that's the unconscious. And the unconscious has all the main controls for your growth and for your feelings and for your health and well-being. And when you're born, the only part that is already with information is your unconscious. Your conscious and your semi-conscious are yours to grow and develop. And your job as a child is to get as much reference as possible, to get as much knowledge, develop the skills, and to do, whatever we're talking about, that you can while you're young, because your brain follows what you do as its clues to what you want. And I talk to them about the connection and how we make neural pathways. And the stronger those pathways are, the more protected our brain is for health in life. Now, if you make a little pathway one day because you do an action, that pathway will fade. If you do the same action the next day, it will get a little bit deeper. If you keep on doing the same thing, that pathway will eventually trigger a process in your brain where myelin is a chemical, will wrap it up. And that means it becomes automatic. So you have to decide, what do you want in your behavior to become automatic? And when you say this, if they've got behaviors that don't serve them, then once they understand this lesson, you can say to them, what do you think your brain is going to make of that behavior now? Is it something you want to keep? And they go, oh no. And they will pull themselves right, rather than needing to be punished for something. Rather, it's making choices all the time. And even very young children, I'll say to them, each part of your brain has a helper. And in the conscious, we've got a little helper whose job it is to find out everything new. And I call him Rummage, because he goes through the world rummaging around, trying to find new things to tell me about. He doesn't know what's right or wrong. His job is to show me. And sometimes when you're in school, Rummage can really get distracted by all sorts of things, but it is your job to control Rummage, not your teacher's job. So if a fire engine goes past and Rummage is going, oh, what's that over there? It's your job to say, no, we're busy in the classroom now, and to bring it back. And this helps children get an image that they can control and be more focused in the classroom. So with your youngsters, Mayim, I would be talking to them about what they are programming into themselves, because if they behave there, they're not in control of themselves. You are. Do they want to be in control of themselves? Do they want to develop independence and confidence, and to have that radiate to other people so that they attract respect? That's what I would say to them. So that it's a consistent thing, because their brain needs to know what they want built in as a habit, if you like, or as a permanent thing. I mean, these things fade in life as well if we don't use them. But children are growing. I mean, by the time, I couldn't believe this, I've actually put it into making the pennies drop. By the time a child is 3 years old, it's made 3 trillion brain connections. 3 years old. That's staggering, isn't it? It's an automatic thing. It's fantastic. And I think we need to just shift our focus a little, as you say, not so much about being amazing at maths, although they all become amazing at maths because they develop the right attitude and the right will and the right determination through understanding what they really want to be able to do well. So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. I love that. How about the next book? Let's talk about the next book.
Oh, Pennies. I love Pennies. This is this year's book. And this focuses just on the skills, the core skills. I can read them out to you. That's, if I can find it. I love this. Here it is. This is the list of executive function skills that are not taught, but they are expected in school and out of school. And we all want everybody to have these skills. We all have we all have them, but we may be stronger in some than others. So self-control, I put that first, because without self-control, focus and attention, I teach that. Organization, memory, especially working memory, planning, time management, critical thinking, task initiation, perseverance, and flexibility. Now, if you focus just on building those skills with children, and you can do it through any activity, but I've put in making the Pennies Drop, I focused on the first 6, I think, with a little bit of critical thinking, because when children are in primary, the first thing they need is self-control. Are they still very reactive? Because if they are, there's no thought. And unfortunately, all the rapid gaming and things they do on technology doesn't help their brain. We have to learn to limit that for their sake. Otherwise, we're going to have a whole generation of people who can't concentrate for more than 2 minutes.
And are unproductive.
And are unproductive.
Yeah, I always hear stories about how the inventors of all these technologies, like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, etc., they don't let their children have the electronics that they try to sell to our children, because they understand how detrimental it is to their brains and their development.
Well, I can give you some personal examples of where I've been asked to work with a child. One who comes to mind straight away was a boy who was almost excluded from school because of his behavior, and because he wasn't achieving very much, and because there was a big exam coming up, and he was 12. And the first thing I remember saying to his mother was that I felt he may have mild dyslexia, which was not picked up, and that would impede his progress. But then I asked her, how much screen time does he have? And she said, I cannot get him away from it. He's gaming every night. And I started to work with him, and I realized I wasn't going to make any progress because he was gaming. As soon as I'd gone, he was gaming. And eventually I persuaded them that if we were going to make progress, he would need to stop during the week, because his brain not only needed time to learn, it needed time to from the damage that was already done. And I arrived at the house one evening, and she gave me his iPad, his laptop, all the controllers, and said, please take them away. Take them away, because wherever I put them, he finds them. And that's a brain that is determined to continue gaming. I did take them away, and we did continue to work. And within 3 months, this child had a head teacher's award for most progress that year. He had passed these big exams to go to a new school, and he was in a different place altogether. I had a child in my office last week who I read. There's a great book. It's not one of mine. There's a great book by an American psychologist called Reset Your Child's Brain. And that talks about the effect of screens on a young developing brain. And it is quite scary, actually, when you read it. I read some of it to a boy, a 13-year-old boy, who again was gaming. And his mother wrote afterwards and said he didn't look at his phone once on the way home, and he hasn't asked for it to go to school. And when I saw him, his whole manner and attitude had changed. And he told me he felt much better for not being constantly on it. And now he does his studies before he does any gaming. So I think we need to, and there are schools in this country now that are starting to ban all mobile phones, because they are seeing the difference. That's the one. That's the one. It's very difficult to achieve her suggestion unless you've got a child who's wildly addicted and actually, seriously not well with it. Because she recommends, I think, 6 months of no screens, which is almost impossible to achieve, because everywhere you go, there's screens in the shopping centres at the side of the road. But definitely restrict if you've got a child who's susceptible, or a special needs child who's on the spectrum, or ADHD or dyslexia, it really makes a difference how much screen time. I know from personal experience of working with children how difficult it can be. So, yeah.
Well, Gail, I could talk to you for hours. But I do have to end soon. And before we do that, I really really want to ask, what programs or services do you offer to help children and parents, and how can people reach out to work with you?
Okay. Well, I work online, so I work internationally. I do assessments of children using my own assessment that I've written into Making the Pennies Drop, so that people know where to start working with their children. They can consult with me privately, again online, and in person if they're not too far away. And I occasionally run webinars, so they can join my mailing list. They can email me, and they can, yeah, look at my
So,
web.
oh, sorry. Oh, where'd your website go? Oh, yeah, there it is.
That is it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, we're on your website right now. This is lessonsalive.com. How would one get on your mailing list from here? I see your
Good
YouTube
question.
channel.
Yeah, I will make sure. I thought it was there. Let's have a
I'm
look.
sure it's here somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. Contact, is it on the contact? Let me see. Or you can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook.
Oh, here. Lessons Alive mailing lists.
Yeah, there you go.
There. So, what's the easiest way to get to that though? Let me see. If I'm back. Oh, you know what?
It's on contact, is it?
Hold on. You really should put it up here though, like up on top.
Yeah, I will.
But I think all you have to do is go to if you scroll down to the bottom,
Yeah.
it says Lessons Alive mailing list.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then, yeah. But yeah, I think it should be somewhere on top so that,
Okay.
yeah, we can keep that going. But okay, so we know how. And you've got the YouTube. And what was the other thing you said?
I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Okay. Do you publish on YouTube a lot?
No.
Okay. So I think probably the mailing list is the best way.
Yes. And I do a monthly newsletter that's very short, usually got a tip of some kind in it.
Okay.
And then you get to hear about any of the webinars or workshops that I'm running.
I'll link directly to this mailing list subscription page from the video along with your website. Well, thank you so much, Gail, for your time. Thank you for your work. And could you maybe just give some closing words to encourage parents out there?
Well, I think you do an amazing job. I do not have children. I chose when I was 6 years old to be a teacher, not a mother. And I love working with children. And I think you do an exceptional job in very difficult circumstances. But if you remember those two questions, what is my child actually learning from what they are now doing? And what does my child actually need to develop to be successful in this world? And I think you'll find it's core development that they need to stay human and strong and respectful.
I love that. Those are great questions to ask. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Algar and I am the host of Expertise TV, and I'm very excited to be introducing you to our guest today, Mayim Vega. Now, Mayim Vega is a former NASA computer scientist turned holistic healer after facing a very personal health crisis, which the modern medical system could not resolve. In 2009, she founded Arukah.com, which offers an holistic healer certification program focusing on 3 pillars: naturopathic herbalism, holistic life coaching, and online business and marketing to empower people to become holistic healers and achieve maximum impact in the world. Mayim combines her scientific background, natural healing methods, and faith in the creator and great physician to guide others on a path to personal and professional well-being. Mayim, it's clear that you are very passionate about the topic of holistic health and particularly helping people who are wanting to transition into this approach. How did you find yourself in this line of work, and why is this work so important to you?
Thank you, Ashley, for taking the time to speak with me. And I'd love to answer that question. So the way I found myself in this line of work starts with my story of when I transitioned from becoming a computer scientist at the NASA Ames Research Center to becoming an entrepreneur and building my first online business in digital marketing. And the reason why I did that is so that I could stay at home and be with my newly born son at the time. And now I have 7 children of my own, and I always wanted to homeschool them and just be there for them. And so that's why I became an entrepreneur. But my first few years as an entrepreneur was extremely difficult. And I thought it was healthy, but later on, after all my studies, I realized there were a lot of things that I was doing that was not very healthy. They were not very healthy habits that I had. And what ended up happening was I got really sick and I thought I was on my deathbed. And I was rushed to the emergency room. And the doctor actually thought that I had a brain tumor. But after extensive testing and examination, she told me that there was nothing wrong with me. I just, I was experiencing a lot of pain, but they had nothing for me. There was nothing they could do for me. She said that she could give me some really strong painkillers, but that's really it. She couldn't really get rid of the problem. And so I took the painkillers, but again, painkillers and any pharmaceutical drug never address the root cause of illness and disease. And that's exactly why this line of work is so important to me and why I went on my own personal journey to become a holistic healer, to study nutrition, herbalism, holistic health, and holistic life coaching, is because we all know people, and probably even ourselves, who, just like me, went to the modern medical system because that's the expected thing to do. That's a normal thing to do. And, tried to get health and healing that way, but hit a dead end, hit a brick wall, and we either got medications that didn't work or that only worked for a while, or that caused side effects that were so terrible that we had to get on other medications, plural, and maybe even the medication or medications caused side effects that caused other health issues. And sometimes the health issues are worse than the first problem that you originally had. And we're on this ridiculous roller coaster of drug after drug, after treatment, after procedure, because the modern medical system never addresses the root cause. And medical professionals who have woken up know this. And that's why I have medical professionals in my program, including, doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, medical technicians, etc., who are learning from me, who are, taking the certification program because they realize that our system is broken and we need to fix it. It is our destiny as humanity to overcome all this nonsense, really. We can do better and we will do better. I know it. And that's why, in my certification program, sometimes I joke around. No, it's not really a joke, but I say, I'm empowering not just holistic healers, but holistic warriors. We're in a battle. We're in a battle over our own health and healing to safeguard and protect that, and that of our families and friends and community, of course, as well. And we're also in a battle against very powerful people who, because of profits, like to suppress holistic health and healing truths to keep us just sick enough so that we need something, pharmaceuticals, but not well enough to ever get off them. That is truly the goal of big pharma, of the pharmaceutical industry. It's not true. They don't want to heal us. They don't want to cure us. They want to keep us just sick enough so that we keep giving them our money. And you know what? Me personally, I have better things to spend with my money, like on good food, clean herbs, things that don't cause these ridiculous side effects that we experience with pharmaceutical drugs.
Thank you, Mayim. So that brings me to my next question. What are some of the key benefits of transitioning from the conventional healing approach to a holistic approach in health and healing?
Okay, so that's another really great and important question. The key benefits of transitioning from conventional healing to a holistic approach are, right now, I can think of three main reasons. Number one, the holistic approach is safer. Number two, the holistic approach is more effective. And number three, the holistic approach is the true approach that gets to the root cause. Okay. Now, I'd like to illustrate the first point, the safety of holistic medicine. If someone who was taking some, let's say blood pressure medication or something like that, visited me at my house, let's say I invited them over for dinner, and let's say they had to take some of their medicine and they dropped one of their pills, right, in my dining room or in my living room floor. Now, I have very small children. I have a 4-year-old. And what if my 4-year-old found that pill on the floor and thought it was candy or something like that and put it in her mouth and ate it? What would happen? I would immediately have to call the poison control center to get that pill out of her system, because those pills can have deadly side effects. But what if someone dropped a vitamin C pill or a tincture, and one of my children found it? For the most part, if they found it and took it, they might have a little diarrhea. It might be really spicy on their tongue, and so they would stop taking it. But no, I wouldn't have to control the poison control center, because vitamins and herbs and minerals are extremely, like 1,000 times safer than pharmaceutical drugs. There's a few types of, supplements that you might have to call the poison control center, but for the most part, no, you won't have to do that, because our body knows how to work with those substances. It is not a drug. It is a healing tool. Okay. So completely safe. Also, exercise, diet, those are all safe, right? Sleep, those are all part of holistic health and healing. Completely safe, zero side effects. Now, let's talk about the effectiveness. The holistic approach is more effective. And the reason why we know this is because in my practice, and this is the experience of many holistic healers, when it comes to the conventional ways with the pharmaceutical drugs, as I said before, they don't deal with the root cause. They just mask symptoms. So, you might take a cough suppressant, let's say, for example, but if you are not dealing with the root cause, why are you coughing in the first place? Why do you have allergies? Why do you have the flu, etc.? Why is your immune system not strong enough to overcome this in just a few hours or just a day or two, overnight? Why? Because you have not built up your immune system. You haven't boosted it or lived the kind of life that you need to in order to avoid those common illnesses altogether. I have one of my students is a medical doctor, and she said that she used to take anti-allergy drugs every single week because of her allergies. The allergy drugs don't boost your immune system. They just suppress it. They just oppress your allergy symptoms. But when you have allergy symptoms, it's your body talking to you and telling you, hey, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this thing that you're eating or this environment that you've just stepped into because of my state of being. I'm not strong enough. That's what your immune system is saying to you. But I taught her a really powerful vitamin protocol that actually boosts your immune system so that your immune system is strong enough to overcome allergies. And so that's the difference. It is effective because it is true. It is true holistic health and healing because it strengthens your immune system. It doesn't silence it, like I said before. And the third issue is the root cause. Holistic health and healing deals with the root cause, and the conventional approach of drugs and surgery, etc., does not. That doesn't mean that you sometimes don't need surgery, for example, or in an emergency situation need a drug, but you're not dealing with the root cause. And if you deal with the root cause, you can make your problems either go away or become extremely minimal, safely, effectively, and naturally without poisoning your body and causing the roller coaster of side effects.
Mayim, you have developed an incredible program that you've already mentioned called the Arukah Holistic Healer Certification Program, which you have specifically created for those looking to either transition into the holistic approach or for those who are wanting to grow in their knowledge and practice. Can you talk us through what differentiates this program from other similar programs that are currently out there?
Thank you, Ashley. Yes, the certification program at arukah.com is really, truly incredible. And there's a few things that set it apart, actually, many things, but I'd like to focus on a few. And one of them is that when I designed the program, I designed it for someone who is in my situation many years ago, someone who was a busy mom who had a lot of work to do and, a lot of things on her plate, but still wanted to empower herself with the knowledge of holistic health and healing for herself, for her family, so she could take care of her family, and maybe even build a career where, very specifically, she could stay at home and, just like me, be a stay-at-home mom. And, even a homeschool mom. I've been a homeschool mom. My oldest is 20 now, and I homeschooled him the whole way. And he's already graduated college, and he's got a computer science degree, and he's an entrepreneur himself. I instilled that dream in him. So being able to, I was able to surpass my income at NASA, and still homeschool my children. It's pretty awesome achievement. And so I wanted to empower people in my program to do exactly the same as I've done, to become a holistic healer, to have a successful online business so that they can have time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom, meaning that there's no glass ceiling. No one who you need to get a raise from. You just have to help people. That's how I get paid, is when I help people, right? And so that's one of the advantages. Another advantage is it's very hands-on and apprenticeship based. And you could go to a college to study to become a naturopathic doctor or another holistic professional like a chiropractor. But it's going to take a lot more money and a lot more time as well. This program can be completed in 1 year, but because, all of my students pretty much are busy professionals already, or busy moms, it's self-paced. So, if you have a lot of things on your plate, it's okay. It's still going to be there for you. There's not like a time limit. You're not going to, your grade's not going to be lowered because you submit an assignment late or anything like that. It's self-paced. And so I've designed it for the busy mom or the working woman. And another thing that sets it apart is we have three core pillars in our program. One is that our students study naturopathic herbalism, and that takes up the bulk of our program. And naturopathic herbalism includes studying the foundations of holistic health and healing, identifying toxins and detoxification, also nutrition and orthomolecular nutrition or megadose vitamin therapy, as well as herbalism, which includes also homeopathy and aromatherapy with essential oils. And also they study Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine. But it's mostly focused on Western medicine, Western herbalism, excuse me. And then the next core pillar, the second one, is holistic life coaching. And the reason why holistic life coaching is part of the program is to incorporate the mind spirit aspect of it, right? If herbs and supplements are the alternative to pharmaceutical drugs, well, holistic life coaching is like the holistic alternative to psychiatry. It deals with the mind and the spirit, and spirit has to be part of it because we are spiritual beings. We're not just physical beings. We're also spiritual beings. Now, a lot of holistic health and healing schools are based on, different religions, New Age or, other pagan religions. And this program, because I'm Jewish, is based on the Creator. It's based on the Bible and biblical principles, Judeo-Christian principles. And so therefore, I have a lot of people who are of that faith persuasion, Jews, Christians, or people who maybe, they don't really identify as Jewish or Christian, but they're open to it, or they grew up in that faith. And they don't necessarily want all the new age spirituality. They want the kind of spirituality that they are comfortable with and used to. That's another thing that sets us apart. And life coaching is all about mindset and how to have healthy relationships with yourself, with others. Of course, also, with food and your body and lifestyle. Holistic life coaching encompasses all of that. And it's a very important part of holistic health and healing, especially because stress is often the root cause of many illnesses, common illnesses, and also chronic diseases. So, that mind and spirit aspect is very important. And the third aspect is online business marketing. And again, the reason why that's important is because, as I told you, I really want my students to thrive and to be able to, have that time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom, which an online business provides. But also because, there's not a lot of jobs for herbalists, or life coaches even. And so we really have to be entrepreneurial. And it's very, very rewarding. And because of my background, with my digital marketing business, my first business, I can really help people in that department.
Thanks so much, Mayim. So I love the power of testimony and hearing people's personal experiences or journeys. Can you share some of the success stories that might be coming to mind or testimonials from past students?
Yes, we certainly have a lot of success stories and testimonials, and we'll show some of those testimonials at the end of our talk today in this video. But I could talk about a few of them that are maybe recent. One of them is one of my students. She told me that she wanted to become a nutritionist, but I guess her life's journey didn't really allow for that. So when she heard about my program, my certification program, when it first launched, she joined, and she really wanted to help her husband, who had been suffering from colitis under the care of doctors for about 20 years, ever since he was in the military. And he was going from medication to medication and, suffering with diarrhea and insomnia and restless legs and indigestion and, all these terrible things that colitis can cause. And so I actually created a custom module for her to help her husband with that. And in 2 months, she helped her husband get off the medication and heal from colitis using food and herbs and natural holistic healing methods. So that was a great accomplishment for her. And I get people, contacting me saying that I helped them grow their hair back, or actually someone said, "Oh, you helped save you helped save a little girl's life." Just beautiful, wonderful things like that. You helped me heal my daughter. You helped me grow, regrow my teeth so I don't have pain from cavities anymore. Like just all these wonderful testimonies. And that's the reason why I love doing what I do. And and you will too, if you join the program. It's so rewarding and fulfilling to understand and to know that you are helping people, truly helping people in ways that they can't get in the modern medical system. It's so rewarding.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mayim. I can only imagine the sense of reward when people start applying these principles to their lives and actually see a change and transformation. And for somebody as passionate as you are around this topic, to witness that and to be a part of that, I imagine that the reward is priceless. So another common question that arises is, once someone completes the program, what are some of the practical steps one would take in order to start a successful career in holistic health?
Okay, that's a great question. And that's actually what the third pillar of our program is all about is, what do you do? Practical steps on what you would do to start a successful career in holistic health. And in that program, we teach our students how to create a high ticket transformational health coaching program that really helps people deal with a serious problem, a serious health issue. And that doesn't mean that it's a deadly, problem, but it can be something that really affects their life, right? Even skin disorders can really affect your life, right? Even though it's not necessarily deadly. Weight loss could be something that is dealing with a serious issue. There's so many different types of health coaching programs that one can make, anxiety, depression, hormonal issues, etc. So they build, and it's part of the program. They will do this while they're still in the program, and we'll support them the whole way. Is to build that first high ticket health coaching program, and then set up their online assets such as their website, their social media, a video sales letter, press releases, podcasts, all those things that online entrepreneurs need in order to connect with people, get their message of health and healing out there, and build and grow and scale their business.
Thank you so much, Mayim. It's been so great talking with you today. But before we close, for those that would like to get started on the journey to becoming an holistic healer and wanting to learn a little bit more about the certification program, how do they go about contacting you?
Yes, it's been wonderful talking to you today as well. And for all those who would like to get started on their journey to become a holistic healer and learn more about the certification program, all they need to do is visit the website, www.arukah.com, ARUKAH.com, and dig into that and schedule a discovery call. And I would love to be your mentor, your health coach, your teacher in guiding you to become a holistic healer, to become the healer of your home and your family and your community, and to help you build a profitable online health coaching business.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Mayim. So there we have it, folks. If you are ready to move forward in your own journey of becoming a holistic healer, then you can visit the website at www.arukah.com, where you can schedule your first discovery call. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.